I want you to think of your absolute favorite memory. Got it? Cool. Now look at this. 5 seconds later, and that clip is already leaving your mind. But that first memory isn't going anywhere. What draws the line between the things that get forgotten in seconds and the things that stay with us for life? What it comes down to eventually is how we engage with art. It's Yakor here, and welcome to the pond, because we're diving deep. When I ask you to think of memorable gaming stories, your mind might jump to the classics like Uncharted, Persona, San Andreas, and more. These games have extremely memorable stories due to their great writing. Throughout their narratives, they manage to flesh out both the characters and the worlds, which helps make them feel more real to the player, no matter how goofy.
Die, little glass ball of fool!
Believe it or not, there is a reason why we remember Big Smoke. In all these instances, these games have great stories because of the countless hours spent intricately crafting them, as noted by Sam Lake when making Alan Wake, which story took literal years to write, describing their end process as being like a sauna with all the pressure on them. It's no small task to write a story. But here's the issue. They aren't memorable for the player. What I mean by this is that we enjoy these stories passively. They play out more like movies with player input being extremely limited. In most instances, you're along for the ride that the developers created instead of doing it yourself. But when we look at games like Firewatch, Outer Wilds, and Disco Elysium, these games are all notorious for their personal impact on each player. Yet these are all indie games made by small studios. So what gives? Well, if you'll shut up, I can explain! If we look at all of these, we can notice a specific cross-through for each, that being the player's involvement within the story. In each game, you're the one driving each choice, and ultimately the progression of the narrative as a whole. In Firewatch, this comes in the form of your dialogue, which helps shapes Henry's character, making him either compassionate or standoffish. From the very start, you're deciding these massive choices in his life, which makes it feel as if you're doing them yourself. Similarly in Disco Elysium, Harry is a blank slate, and again, you're choosing how he develops. Is he authoritative, perceptive, or emotional? These choices not only reflect the game's systems, it subtly demonstrates what your values are without explicitly confronting you about them. In both titles, there's no right choice, as each come with trade-offs. In doing so, allowing the player to choose their own actions breaks down the barrier between the character and self. As a result, each playthrough feels completely unique to everyone, as you're not guided along the narrative with everyone else, instead carving your own path forward. I mean, sure, I'm not a balding cop yet, but I connect more with Harry than I do team characters in other media. Further pushing this concept, we have the Outer Wilds. The way in which the game necessitates that the player is involved in both solving the puzzles and discovering the solution to the time loop presents a much more invested experience. Each loop serves as a way to gain new knowledge and further develop your understanding of the systems. You're basically a metaphorical baby that's adopting to your new environment. As the developer stated, the goal from the outset was to make a game that felt like we're going off and exploring the unknown. I want you to notice that in each instance, these games have much more memorable stories to players. Because it's your influence, you become much more attached to the narratives. The characters didn't choose that or solve that puzzle, you did. These games are your story, not somebody else's. To make it simple, traditional video game narratives are like your friend's crazy party stories. Sure, they might be entertaining, but you don't really understand everything. Like, who's this guy? Whereas these titles serve as your own memories, where you saw everything unfold and participated to make an absolutely unforgettable experience. And that's the power of agency. Not only that, but when we play games also has a major impact on us. Obviously, when you're younger, you had less responsibilities and less money to buy games, so in turn, you had to value what you had. So no wonder games like Ocarina of Time, GTA 5, and Undertale are so popular even today, because these games were all popular with mostly kids. And if we look back at how agency affects your experience of the game, in all these examples, from the chaotic GTA Online to the choice-driven Undertale or the ambiguous adventures of Ocarina of Time, players are making their own unique experiences with the game. It's not about the quality or polish of each title. By providing uniqueness to every player, we're able to form much stronger relationships with these games. And at such a formative time in your life when you don't have access to other games, you're kind of forced to like it. Think about it, when you're young, most of your connections are created through happenstance rather than actively being sought out. And when you got a game you actually wanted, that made it all the more special. And when I was young, I was obsessed with exactly 2 games, Mario Kart and Skylanders. I played the absolute living hell out of them, because that's all I had. And every new Skylander I got was invigorating. And this only compounded when I got a PS4. Getting Overwatch or Minecraft Story Mode only heightened that feeling. Yet we don't just remember the games we played as kids, we remember them as adults too. During this shift, I find that it's less about the specific experience of the game itself, rather how it relates to your experiences outside of the game. For example, games about parenthood feel even more important to actual parents, or games about isolation and trauma speak more to the people with those actual experiences. Individuals gravitate towards art they see themselves in, and that's what causes these games to be so integral to people even in their 40s and beyond. And to further support my point, it's why I think the soundtracks of certain games affect us so much. Because it's a known fact that humans retain music the most. So when you take something so palpable as music and apply it to deeply emotional experiences, it elevates our perception of them to a new level. I guarantee you, there is at least one song you will cry to. And if you say no, you're lying. It's why we remember the stuff we watched as kids, or the music our parents played for us. You're exposed to these at a time where your development is critical, affecting how you engage with art for the rest of your life. And beyond that, what happens in your life as a whole. This shows your relationship to your later play habits and how it affects how you perceive and use your time for games. But that's just for individuals. What about whole-scale communities? Another way that games leave an impact on us is by manifesting into our actual personality as a whole. Moving away from just personal agency, games like CSGO, TF2, and most popular online titles extend beyond the realm of individuals by creating whole communities globally that play them even to this day. And in my opinion, this is due mainly to the fact that much of the content surrounding these titles is mostly community created. CSGO skins, TF2 short films, Red vs. Blue, all of these generated their own microcosms which begun to spread across the internet as a whole. Take for example the Source Filmmaker. This tool is up there with fire in terms of historic importance to the human race. Just one search on YouTube and you're hit with a plethora of different videos, ranging from We Like to Party to the art of spy checking, or officially created trailers like the Meet This series and everything in between. This isn't just a way to make videos, but a way for people to express their passion for these characters in a new way that's never been seen before, and something like this has yet to be seen or even replicated. The closest thing being Ubisoft Photo Mode contests, where players show off the game better than they can themselves. And if we direct our eyes to CSGO, this game single-handedly carried the commentary genre for years, creating the careers of many infamous individuals, but nonetheless. The Chill Surf gameplay raised a generation of incels, and now it's undergone a complete metamorphosis, with tournaments and leagues, which have not only helped keep the competitive spirit alive, but the entertainment as well. People like OnePixel, whose obsession for cases is definitely cause for concern, or CoffeeZilla's exposés, both of which continually bring back this game to the public eye. By involving the fandom so much, the creators of these games essentially had their advertisement done for them, and as a result, their popularity moved away from simple fanship into full-fledged events. Things like the Saxies turn these games into social hubs to learn new skills and meet new people. We can see this principle applied to games like Sky. As the creator said, at its core, the game is about compassion and generosity. It's about connecting people and nudging them to do good for each other. It tries to evoke the bright side of humanity over the dark or the gray in an online game. We remember these games now because of the community around them. Similarly to a specific era of music or time in your life, the world's involvement of it makes us remember them forever. Finally, in the same way we remember the first color film or the invention of bombs, games demonstrate the leap in technology in recent years. Back then it was Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII, and Mario 64. While recently, Spider-Man, Baldur's Gate 3, and Elden Ring all demonstrate massive technological achievements by developers. Not only pushing the hardware, but their own creativity to the limits. Things that seem simple today, like New Game Plus, cinematics, or basic 3D movement, were unprecedented for the time. For example, Half-Life 2 was one of the first games to revolutionize how physics were simulated in games. Being able to pick up a box and throw it, or having boxes break in the proper way had never been seen before like this. And once again goes to show why Valve is king. Or even just using WASD and the mouse for aiming, which we took from Quake. And in modern day, branching narratives, huge open worlds, and lifelike graphics continue to do the same. Like, just look at Baldur's Gate character creator. There is so much player expression, and not just how you look, but how you play. This used to just be limited to the imagination of the stinky nerds at the lunch table. But now it's so actualized you can almost touch it. The bugs from Helldivers make my skin crawl. It's fantastic. Where games used to be megabytes, now they're hundreds of gigabytes. These games are remembered for how they push the medium forward. in the same way that Vincent van Gogh introduced post-impressionism or Picasso's cubism. They're significant due to their contribution to art as a whole. Additionally, their great design just makes them memorable games in the first place. Like, I had never wanted to be Spider-Man more than in 2018. And I believe there already exists a game that represents everything I've talked about so far. Here it is. For millions of people, it was their first glimpse into what video games could become. The bright colors, the perfect game design, and we can't forget the iconic music. It wasn't just a technological leap, it was a statement of what the medium was capable of. Mario shows us why we remember games. A game can have incredible graphics, perfect mechanics, or even revolutionary technology, but none of that guarantees a lasting impact. What makes a game memorable is the relationship we build with it. Through our choices, our experiences, and communities that form around them, games stop being pieces of software and become parts of our lives. Because unlike most forms of art, games aren't just something that we consume. They're something that we participate in. Every discovery, every victory, every late night session with friends becomes woven into our own life.
You just got clipped.
Developers create the world, but the memories belong to us. And that's why we remember games. But that's all I have to say about this. I didn't think I'd get a little bit emotional making a video, but here we are. Anyways, thanks for stopping by the pond. It's Yukoi here, and I'm out.